Hello, so this is going to be a 2-hour webcam stream to make up for the one yesterday, which I wasn't able to do, just simply because yesterday, obviously, I was a bit ill. Hello, British Aviation. I'm just going to check the mic settings are set up, because I think it might be using the wrong microphone. Right, what's that? Just a second. I think it is using the right microphone. It just seems to be quite quiet for some reason, so let me pull that a bit closer to my face. This is a cheap Chinese one that Laser Point Production wanted me to get with his donations, and it actually seems pretty good. So compared to a lot of these cheap masks, it basically just has a clip-on filter there. It's just a A1P1 filter, but for an A1P1 filter, it's actually pretty decent. If you get banana oil in front of it, you get a faint smell coming through, but not a very strong one. Okay, the audio is good. It's just on the like audio thing at the bottom of the screen where it shows me the audio level. It's like at the lowest thing, but as long as you can hear it, that's all right, I guess. Just because I find them interesting. Oh, sorry, just looking. Just need to reply to a message. Tell you what, I can reply on the screen or type faster. Alright, there we go. I just collect masks. Well, I collect other military, as you can probably see, of the Geiger counters and everything in the background. It's just that militaria ends up, especially like gas masks, ends up being quite a lot cheaper. So I think they're cool and everything as well, but also because some masks like this are like £5 to £10. Some of those masks in the background are like £10 to £20. Whereas the deactivated guns often now, a lot of those were about £400 when I got them, but lots of these now are like over £1,000. So due to economics, I can get a hell of a lot more gas masks of different types than I could get for deactivated guns. Yeah, IBM, Model M, KLM. Alright, sophistry. Alright, I'll get one out to show you. Because most of the Geiger counters in the background, like the Polish ones and that mini monitor, are fairly expensive now. But the SOEXO 1M I've got is probably like a very good affordable one for a lot of people, because these are about £100. And I think there's Chinese brands of Geiger counters now which are even cheaper than these ones, which, you know, work fine. So let me flick this one on, because I've got my radioactive stuff on the bed, because some of you were interested in that. Over 100 communism, and I don't actually know the thing. The problem with a hazmat suit is you need an oxygen tank or an air tank with it to make it have a positive pressure seal, if you're on about like proper hazmats. So yeah, this one just takes 2 AAA batteries. You can put rechargeable batteries in that and just charge it via that cable if you don't want to charge the batteries separately. So turn it on. And this is good because it's both a Geiger counter for beta, gamma, and X-rays, as well as being a dosimeter, or dosimeter. So dosimeter, what it does is when it's loaded up, it shows you the background level of radiation. Whether or not the webcam will focus on that, I don't know. It might be a bit hard to read on the webcam if it doesn't focus. Let me put it in front of my face and see if it focuses better then. It's probably not going to focus, is it? But yeah, so it says we're at 0.07 radiation background, which is normal. So what you can do with this, you get the dose thing. So if I reset that to 0, set to 0, yes, resetted. It should say reset, it says resetted, but never mind, at least it's got an English function on it. So it has both measuring on here, where it shows you, like the dosimeter mode, how much radiation you've been exposed to. And then it has searching, where it's like the Geiger counter mode, where it shows you what you're currently being exposed to. And then there's your dose, where it says how long it's been. So it says at the moment it's been 30 seconds since I've reset it. and my cumulative dose is nothing. But to just demonstrate this works, let me get my thing of radioactive materials. So if I get this, which has some Fiesta ware in there, and that's the dosimeter pen, which is currently at like 0 Rontgen or 1 Rontgen or whatever, because it takes ages to go up. Let's put that there, it's not 3.6. So we've got Fiesta ware in there, thorium, some uranium ore, radium watch. Let's just chuck this in there. Now you can see that bit to the searching mode. That's obviously going up a lot faster now. Computers aren't radioactive, so it won't show you anything. And then if we go to measuring, see, dangerous. If it focuses, probably won't. Because uranium ore is cool. There you go. It's not enriched uranium, so it's actually quite low in radioactivity. Sadly, I don't think the webcam is going to focus very well on that, but it's literally just rocks out the ground that have uranium in them that's not been processed, so it's not very radioactive at all. But as you can see, that entire box of goodies has been making the Geiger count go off. But as for people saying, is it safe to have this in the house? Listen to how close I have to get this to the thing for it to actually start going off. So yeah, if you've got this not right next to where you sleep or whatever, this radioactive stuff is actually pretty safe. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the Geiger counter in this for this stream, but I'm going to put it on the other side of the room. So it's not going to be too loud and I'm not close to it. And later on we can come back and take a look at what measurements we've got. Fiesta ware is, I think, mostly beta radiation. Obviously, you get some alpha radiation off the surface if the uranium glaze came off. I'm pretty sure it's very low in gamma. So if you put aluminium in front of Fiesta ware and then the Geiger counter, I think you get a very, very low reading, but a lot of beta radiation comes off of Fiesta ware. That Geiger counter was sent to me for free by a guy called Ziggy Jinx, so big thank you to him for that. But if you were to buy those, they're about £100 if you're on about the Geiger counter. The uranium ore is like less than £10 for a little vial of it. You buy it from Australia. Actually, that stuff is not very radioactive, because with my dosimeter pen, currently this is about 1 Rontgen, and it's been sitting in there for a couple of weeks. Now, it does only pick up gamma radiation, not alpha or beta. But, yeah, I might get a dosimeter pen at some point that shows millirontgen. Because if I get one that shows millirontgen, you actually see the needle go up. But because rontgens are actually a very big measurement of radiation, bear in mind there's 1,000 millirontgens in a rontgen, you barely see the one I've got move, even when exposed to the stuff I've got. Whereas if I had one that showed millirontgen, I could probably, you know, after a couple of hours, take it out and you'd actually have seen the needle move. I'm pretty sure plutonium you can't buy legally, because plutonium is obviously like the enriched stuff. Like uranium-235 and plutonium would be the stuff you wouldn't be able to buy, you know, legally online. Don't forget to like the stream, everybody, because there's 24 people on, we've got 7 likes. But yeah, the thing is with uranium ore, is when you get uranium, it's the actual ore is not enriched uranium, it's literally uranium from the ground. When they make nuclear bombs and stuff like that from uranium, they have to enrich it. And uranium-235 is the version of uranium that's the, like, you know, stuff that would be put in a bomb or something like that. PTM ones you can get for about £10 just over on eBay. Most of them come from Eastern Europe, so you have to pay a couple of pounds and wait a while for delivery. But The white PTM was around £10. The dark green PTM was around £10. The dark green type is better because it has an additional elastic strap on it. So I'll tell you what, let me just have a look on eBay and let me see how cheap I can find a Geiger counter, and then I'll put a link in the chat. I'm just going to check a chat message. Right, so you can also buy these things for smartphones where you plug them into the audio socket. Here's one of the Chinese ones, actually. Does this do beta or just X-rays? Let me have a look. Oh, this does beta, gamma, and X-rays. Okay, so assuming this is a legit seller, you can get Geiger counters now for about £50, which is actually very good. Obviously, this is going to be a very basic one, but yeah. If you wanted to get one like mine, let me just find you the one I've got. That's like, the link was too long to paste. That's annoying. Let me get the other one back up and I'll try and cut the link down. But anyway, here's the one that I've got, the SOX01M. Let me just put that in the chat. So that's the one I've got. And then this is the kind of Chinese ones that are quite competitive on price. It's a similar sort of thing. I don't have one, so I can't tell you how good it is. But maybe at some point, when I've got some spare money again, I'll do a test. Doosty, if that's your name, the Avon CT12. Yeah, I can touch type, and obviously having an IBM Model M lets you type pretty fast because it's got very good keys. That's why I like this compared to newer keyboards. I found this one in the attic because it used to be on a Windows 3.1. If anybody knows what a Windows 3.1 is, I'll give you a hint. It was before Windows 95. And yeah, got it down and I've used it on my PCs ever since. At the moment, I've not been playing many games. I'll tell you what, I'm going to take this mask off now. So yeah, this is just got a simple head harness. Ideally, this could do with longer straps, but that's my only complaint with it. At the moment, I've not been playing much. I've got a new PC coming in a week or so, hopefully. Tell you what, I'll check on my order status for that on CyberPower. Because the problem was all the AMD stuff ran out of stock straight away. So they have them all on back order. So I'm getting it probably in a week to 2 weeks. But at the moment, I've not been playing too much. I've been playing a lot of casual games just because my current PC is not it still says pre-production because it overheats quite a lot at the moment. I've managed to fix that by ramping up the GPU a bit, but recently I've been playing Fallout Shelter and Plants vs. Zombies, so almost like casual mobile games. But sometimes I'll play things like Fallout 4, Fallout New Vegas, Arma 2, Arma 3, certain RTS games. I'm tempted to buy the Green Army Men like standalone DLC thing that you can get for Rising Storm 2 now, because I did enjoy that at Christmas. I enjoy it more than regular Rising Storm, actually. Yeah, you can get electromagnetic Geiger counters. I'll show you one of them if I work out which drawer I've got it in. It's this one. So yeah, you can get ones like this. This is a DT1130 apparently, and this shows you signals electromagnetic. So this is what you'd use to check for electric wires in the walls and stuff. So if I put this near my screen, it's ticking there. It's getting to about 140. If I just do the data hold function, I can show you that there's a number on it. If I put it next to my PC, the reading will probably be higher, depending where I've got it next to the PC, I guess. But yeah, this is the one you'd use to check for electromagnetic radiation. Be very careful if you're trying to buy a Geiger counter for ionizing radiation that you don't buy one of these by mistake, because these are far cheaper. And some dodgy sellers have these and they advertise them as, like ionizing Geiger counters, and they're not. These are good if you buy them knowing what they are and don't pay very much for them, because they're, used to use to check for electrical, like EMF kind of stuff. But don't buy one of these expecting it to check for radiation, as in ionizing radiation like alpha, beta, gamma, because that's not what these are for. Anyway, let me go back to the chat. I'll tell you what, I'm going to shove my glasses on just so I can read the chat a bit easier. All right, have fun in Greece, then, my name, Dan. I'm just getting a pre-built this time. My current PC, my name, Dan, I built it myself, but I just can't be asked for the next PC. So what I'm going to do now is just get a pre-built from Cyberpower. So I'll read you out the specs if you want. It's a Ryzen 9 3900X, a RX 57000 XT graphics card, whatever they're called, the current top-end AMD ones, or very high-end AMD ones. Not as good as the very top-end NVIDIA cards, but I don't even play stuff above 1080p anyway. I think I'm going for 32 gig DDR4 RAM, and it's fairly high clock speed RAM. I've got a couple of SSDs and HDDs in the PC I'm getting. So all in all, it should be 360mm liquid water cooler. Let me just go back to the chat. That's all right. I'm going to be streaming for over 2 hours today. We're only 16 minutes in so far. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see with Arma 2 and 3 with the new PC how far I can set the draw distance. One of the really nice things I've seen with that new AMD card I'm getting is they have this image sharpening thing that works really well. So you can play games at 1080p or whatever, put the image sharpening on, and it looks more like you're playing at 4K. Like, obviously, if you're actually got a 4K monitor, there's no point in using it, really, but... sorry. Bit of phlegm there. My name, Dan, it was about 2,400 in total. Yes, but bear in mind, I'm getting a nice case with it and pretty much everything, and it should last me like 5 to 10 years. If you wanted to build a gaming PC for relatively cheap, you wouldn't need to spend anywhere near that. Obviously, I want a 3900X, mostly for video editing. I'm tempted to say Britain smoke big, but that's probably biased on my point. But I like a lot of the Avon masks, and like the S6, the S10, the CT12, the FM12, the M50. But America's made lots of good masks as well as some crap ones. The thing is, with lots of nations have made both good and bad masks. Pretty much any modern ABEC P3 filters are good. Communism. FP5s are good as well. They're basically ABEC P3s as well. Have you tried dusting out the inside, Baptiste, and also manually setting the GPU to have higher fan speed? Because the problem seems to be a lot of GPUs. What was I going to say? Don't seem to rev up the fans as much as they should. I guess because people like them quiet, but that defeats the point, doesn't it? Also, I got a sign off a B store today. I'll put that up on the wall at some point. Thought that would look good on the wall as well. Probably put it there, I guess, when I put it up. That'd be just about visible on the webcam, wouldn't it? Or I might put it there and move the other poster along. Yeah, there we go. Let's have a quick look at what the Geiger counter's on for a cumulative dose. 4.25 microsieverts, I think that is. Which is, a dangerous dose. Tell you what, let me just put the sounds off for it. Options, sound, sensor sound, no, sound, no. Okay, so it's muted. Go back to the thing. Measuring. Right, so the Geiger is still measuring now. It's just that at the moment it's not making sound, so it won't be ticking away in the background, but I'll get it out later. I've played Sniper Elite 2 and 3. They're alright, but it'll be a lot better when I've got a new PC and it runs more stably. Yeah, and also check the fan speeds, Baptiste, because the reason my current PC was crashing so much recently is for whatever reason, the GPU fans weren't going beyond a certain level. So now I've manually set them with, like a graph that when the GPU gets to a certain temperatures, the fan go to a certain percent, and if it gets hotter, the fans go higher. I've not had any crashes since. So I think the problem was the GPU was just simply overheating. Just, due to whatever reason a driver update maybe had made the GPU want to run quieter. And I'd rather not have a PC run quiet. I'd rather it run cool. All right, cool, Mike. Don't know if you've missed anything interesting. Where's the other Y2K? And I'll show that, because that should be around somewhere. Here it is. So I also got a Chernobyl-style Y2K, because you'll see there's a Y2K up there, but this is the one with the Chernobyl-style nose clip, and also the single strap. So what I need to do is get this, put the other strap through it, and then staple it, or tie it, so it actually... I'll just tie it, actually. Just so it doesn't undo itself, because the problem is at the moment that this one, as soon as you basically adjust it on your head, it will flip off, because obviously this strap isn't tied. So let me pull that through there. Then what I'll do is pull that through a bit more. Then if I can, it might be a bit hard being elastic. Yeah, I'll just staple that later, but what I'll just do is kind of do that with the strap, so it's too fat to fit through the thing, and then just staple it, and that way I can do a video on it. But yeah, so this is the classic Y2K with the big nose clamp. The newer ones are probably a bit better, to be honest, like the one I've got on the Lee Enfield up there, because it's got a better strap system. It's still not a good strap system, but the Y2Ks are actually pretty good as dust masks, due to the fact that, they keep a shape and they've got a good valve setup. It depends what you're using against. If you're using it against dust, yes, expired filters will still work against dust, because particulate filters only stop working when they totally clog. Well, Baptiste, I've got a Radeon card. I don't know if you've got an NVIDIA or an AMD. But with my Radeon, it's just the Radeon software. But with NVIDIA, either with the NVIDIA tools or like whichever brand of GPU you've got, you should be able to find like fan control tools and all that for them. In terms of working against gas, it's really hard to say. The less significant gases, certainly. The stronger gases, probably not. It's really hard to say with filters, because it depends how well they've been plugged and sealed and whatever else. Because if you buy an old expired filter and it's still wrapped up properly, as long as it's not been expired for too long, it will work. But again, it's indefinite, so how long it will work against certain things, it's really hard to say. Fire fumes, well, in terms of smoke, some of that will be blocked by the particle filter. Some of the things in smoke, yes, it will still block, but bear in mind, against like proper smoke fumes, you're going to actually need like what firemen use, because it provides you with cool, fresh air. What's World War III? I've not even heard of it. But if you're just using a mask as a prop mask, it's totally safe to use a modern filter that's expired with it. It's just the filter may not protect you. But in terms of if you were seriously going to use it, that's when I'd sort of say err on the side of caution and maybe get a new sealed filter. But yeah, for props, you don't have to worry about the filter being expired, as long as you're not using an old asbestos filter to breathe through. Say you had a filter that ran out in 2008 or something, that's perfectly safe to use that filter. Assuming there's not like a massive rip in the top of the filter and it's leaking charcoal or something. But let's see what's on the news, shall we? As much as I don't like really reading the news, we'll see if there's anything interesting on there. Iran warns UK tanker seizure dangerous game. So is Iran going to be the next country we bomb or invade? Turkey defies US as Russian defense systems arrive. Coffee crisis. Ooh, what says that might actually affect me? Apparently, coffee beans have been dropping in price because of an oversupply. So, lots of farmers have switched from coffee to different crops, which then means the price of coffee will go back up again, which is kind of interesting. I'd say a bowler hat personally, because lots of fedoras and trilbies are worn by euphoric gentlemen, aren't they? Which is a polite way of putting it. So you'd be more Alex DeLarge, wouldn't you, with a bowler hat than Milady? But I prefer like actual regular caps, to be honest, like sun caps. I'm good, Polish Stalker. Feeling a lot better today. I think yesterday it was just because I was working out in the sun for a few hours. With all the pollen and everything else and the heat, I ended up just being quite faint and nauseous because of all that, but today I'm fine. Yeah, the stream's been on 26 minutes, so you've got an hour and a half left. Can't remember if I topped my water up before the stream, so partway through the stream I might have to refill that for a drink. Not that I know of, Smoke Big. As far as my most African nations just buy other nations' masks. Well, you might damage it washing in a washing machine. It depends how tough the mask is, really. Also, if a washing machine's chucking a mask with metal parts around, you might damage your washing machine if it keeps slamming into the sides. Which mask do you mean by M64, Adam? I've never bothered translating British aviation, but I guess it means something like eye mask insert or something, or its instructions. Avon CT12 Polish Stalker. The question that gets asked every stream without fail, and you're not the first person to ask it this stream. Even when I did it in the FAQ, people still kept asking it, so I don't even bother in the FAQ now because people don't read it. I'm pretty sure they started production in 1965, oddly enough, and I think they kept producing them up until the early 2000s, because the M2000 was the mask that replaced the M65. But there's a couple of variants of M65 as well, like the M65Z. Oh, what, the Chinese Type 64? Not anymore, my name, Dan. I used to have one in the description, but nobody bothered reading it, so I just didn't bother putting it in there. And some people, to be annoying, would read the FAQ and then keep asking the questions on the FAQ sort of in order to be irritating. So they'd ask the question on the top of the FAQ. Then they go to the next one, then the next one, so I just don't bother anymore. Probably one of my interwar British masks, cool kid, but a lot of those are dates have actually worn off the rubber, but I guess 1930s, early 1940s. Whichever one you like the most, mate, and that's in good condition, takes 40mm NATO. Yeah, like I said, Mike, I think a lot of people are doing it on purpose to be irritating. Did you measure your head, Mike, for a gas mask? I've seen GP5 sold for a lot more than $40. So as much as that's a rip-off, I've seen some people charging over $100 for them, claiming it's like a rare World War II mask or some bollocks. On the thumbnail, I had this mask on. The filters for this just clip on and off like that. Yeah, this is a surprisingly good mask for how cheap it is. The name of it might say on the rubber, hang on. JX Yujing or something 3600. If the webcam wants to focus, it probably won't. But it's not been focusing as well when YouTube's using it rather than OBS. But it's a very cheap Chinese one. Ideally, yes, Zeppelin, because the longer your hair gets, the more it will interfere with the seal on the mask or the straps. Yeah, I mean, hay fever symptoms, Mike, are very, very similar to cold symptoms. So often in the summer, I can't tell if I've actually got a cold or it's hay fever. The only way I can tell is if it stays, and doesn't let up for a few days, I know it's cold. Whereas if it gets better or worse, depending on the pollen count and taking antihistamines, and it's hay fever. But the good thing is, if you've actually got a cold, you can take hay fever antihistamines for a little bit of relief. Because essentially what they do is they just stop your body producing as much snot and things like that, which will help with a cold. Sorry, Jane, I can't read your Cyrillic writing. It also depends on the type of hose, Adam, because some Chinese hoses are normalized, some are 40mm GOST, so it probably depends which Chinese hose you get as well. Yeah, you get different types of antihistamines as well. The ones I get on prescriptions of this type, Laudatarine or whatever they're called, which are ones you're meant to take like 1 or 2 in the morning, and then they're meant to be effective all day, but they're not super effective. They're kind of ones that just protect you from some of the symptoms for a while. The ones that Benadryl, you can buy these in the pharmacies. These are the ones you take when your symptoms kick in, and they're a lot more effective. So I use 2 now. In the mornings, I take Laudatrine, and then in the day, I take Benadryl or Benadryl Plus as and when I need them, and I find that deals with my hay fever a lot better. Also, if I use my asthma inhaler when my hay fever plays up, that helps a bit as well, because sometimes I get a bit of a knock-on effect where the hay fever affects my asthma. They're probably very similar to Laudatrine then, Mike, because the Benadryl ones are like fast-acting ones that last a couple of hours. No, sadly, James, I don't have to talk in Russian. The closest to another language I can speak is German, and I can speak German very badly, as in, mein Deutsch ist nicht gut, sprechen Sie English, danke? So that's like my ability to speak German. The sad thing is, in the UK, I think it's a bit better now. When I was at school, at primary school, you never learnt foreign languages. When you got to secondary school, they start teaching you to speak very basic French and German. I think if you learnt it at an earlier age, you'd pick it up a lot better. So my foreign language ability is awful, and I said to him when I was at school, look, I'm really struggling to learn French or German, so can I take a different GCSE, it's like a standard one? So then I was able to take, like rather than doing a languages GCSE, an extra like standard GCSE, which obviously worked out a lot better for me. But yeah, I think the main thing is learning languages at a younger age is helpful, but sadly a lot of the school systems aren't that good for that. Guten Morgen, Alex. Mein Deutsch ist nicht gut. Well, if I could probably just say, hello, spreche Sie English. I could probably, do a German, speaking German without any accent, but you kind of want to do an accent, don't you, when you speak a foreign thing? Sorry, Alex, I really don't know that much German. The thing is with German is if I'm reading something that's in German, if I'm not got any time constraints, I can generally translate it very slowly reading it. And if I watch films, with English subtitles where people are speaking in German, I will pick up a bit of what they're saying anyway. But if you go, when I was in Germany and Austria, I basically just said, hello, mein Deutsch ist nicht gut, sprechen Sie English, danke, and then people would be like, oh, yes, we speak English, and then, that was fine. So I'd speak German to begin with. But if people, are like 9, they didn't speak English, then I just have to very slowly try and talk to them. But German is the closest I can speak to a different language. And that's because a lot of words in German are similar to English, and German sentence structure is similar to English. With a lot of the languages, the grammar is totally different, which makes it really confusing. That's why I could never pick up French, because I'd say it's arse backwards, basically. But with German, the words are basically in the same order. Right, I'm just going to go to the toilet, so chat amongst yourselves. Once I've been to the toilet, I'm going to fill up my water bottle, obviously not with my own urine. I'm going to go to the toilet, wash my hands, and then fill this up. So chat amongst yourselves. I should only be a minute or two, and then I'll go back to the chat. Right, I'm back. What happened in the chat while I was gone then? The people just being silly. So yeah, when I visit Weapon Collector in a couple of months in September, and we're going to do some videos, and I go around his house, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get him a gas mask as a present. I'm not sure what model yet. What I'm going to do is wait for him to tell me what size he is in a mask, and then I'll look for what's a good 40mm mask for a decent price on eBay or Amazon, sort of, and get him something. Because there's a few different options, but obviously I'll need to know his size first, because I don't want to get him a mask that doesn't fit him. And also get you a 60 to 40mm converter as head mic. Sometimes you can get those for under $5, so that way you can at least use filters with your finish mask. In terms of spare filters, I probably have a couple of spares here. Right, so see on that poster, I sent you the picture on Twitter. That on this Russian poster, there's a guy with a tape measure around his head. So you go from the jaw to the top of your head. So you basically, do that with a tape measure. And then you obviously mark when you've gone fully around the head what it is in centimeters. And then that's the centimeter one. So less than 63 centimeters, size 0. 63.5 to 65.5, size 1, etc. Let me know what your size is in a GP5 size, and then I can roughly translate that to any other mask. Because in general, if you're a size 2 or 3 GP5, it means you'll be a medium or large in most master straps. Because as much as it's not a direct comparison between other masks, in general, if you know what size you are in one mask, it's quite easy to translate that to other masks. Unless you get a really weird thing where some masks have, very odd shapes, but for the most part, that works fine. Because I think for most people, you can probably get medium masks if they are adjustable, and then get them either to be tight or looser to fit you. But, it depends. Well, that's what I asked him, Chris, but he couldn't actually spot a size on it. Does yours not have a number here, Mike? You can see where mine's a 3 there. If the webcam focuses on it, there's a number 3 there. that means, as far as I'm aware, that this one's a large. 2 means it's a medium. 1 is a small, as far as I'm aware, on finish masks. So yeah, you could use that as well. Or to be completely accurate, you could measure your head for a GP5, guess your size in that, find a number on your M61. We'll check the numbers correlate with each other, and then we'll have a pretty good idea of what size you should need for masks. All right, see you, Jane. What were you wondering, Alex? Sorry, I probably missed your previous comment against dust. Yeah, this, for the people who didn't know, this was the first ever gas mask I got, the Finish M61. It's what sort of started my interest in gas masks. And for the people who always ask, why does it have a very big nose? It's because it's got a big oral nasal cup in it. And it's got a Tissot tube system that goes through both bits to each eye. So you've obviously got the big oral nasal cup in there that works well. And then you can see that the Tissot tubes go through to each eye, so it defogs. Lots of more modern masks don't bother putting a Tissot tube all the way around. The Tissot tube normally goes in on one of the lenses or one side of the mask, and then you've just got an oral nasal cup to prevent fogging. What was in coffee, like literal coffee filters, like the ones for filtering coffee so you don't get the granules in the water kind of thing, the coffee grounds and the coffee water. Yeah, in theory, you could use those as a dust filter because they would obviously filter particulates. I wouldn't really use them if you're doing any really, really serious work, but against dust, that would be fine. Yeah, as far as I'm aware, what Hype was saying is the Polish FP203 filters have a regular like paper HEPA filter in them. I've never built a PVC bow, but they seem all right from what I've seen. Obviously, they're not going to be as good as like really good bows, but if you get a decent strength bit of PVC pipe, you can make a functioning bow out of it. Okay, so you were saying 68 centimeters. So that means you'd be a size 2 to 3 GP5. Actually, let me check something, because unless the finish masks have a backwards numbering, let's have a look. So what I'm just going to do is try both of these masks on and see which one's the bigger one. If my 2 or my 3 is a bigger one, because this might be interesting. Then I'll work out what the sizing is. Right, so this is a size 2 M61. It's a bit dustier. It's been on my wall. Right, that's fairly small, I'd guess. That's that size 2. So that's a size 2. And this is a size 3. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this one is marginally bigger. The Type 3 one has more flexible rubber slightly on it, so that makes things a bit confusing. But I was just seeing if I could see from the inside of both of these which one looked bigger. That way. So if I do that, I'm pretty sure the bigger one is this one here, which is the one that's yeah, it is, because you can see the forehead section's bigger on this one. So yeah, finish masks Size 1 would be small, then size 3 would be the bigger size. So if your Finish M61 fits you and it's a size 1, obviously that's got adjustable straps. Then if I go for like a normal size mask, it should fit you fine, I imagine, Mike. Yeah, I mean, I'm not really all that into archery, Richard. The best person to ask if he's ever on is Richard Weaponsmith, because he does like lots of proper bow shooting. So he'd be a really good person to ask for that. So yeah, I reckon if I get you a size medium mask with adjustable straps, it will fit you fine. Because that's the nice thing of saying with masks with straps and like the GP5s, because they're like elasticated rubber, is, you know, obviously the straps give you quite a bit of leeway, don't they, where you can adjust it. The only thing I've noticed more with strap masks is where your eyes seem to fit in the goggles. You know, are they like that? Are they like that? You know, ideally you want them bang in the middle, don't you? But there's very few masks I find where my eyes go exactly in the middle of the lenses. But yeah, when it comes to straps, because some masks are even one size fits all that just have very, very loose straps. I find North FC quite funny, to be honest, V. Even though I'm not into football, I do find North FC quite funny, especially all the spin-offs of North FC. Like where you see them in like medieval like armor with like bill hooks and things like that. So yeah, what I'm going to do is after this stream ends, Mike, although I might wait till my next payday, obviously, because I've got a couple of months, I'll start looking through and looking at a couple of masks I know to be good masks, and then see can I spot any for a good price, because I'd probably go to around £30 or so. That'd be a medium-sized one that I know you like and get on with. Any modern military one, cool kid, as long as you've got the right filters. Or as in, if I had to join one, I mean, I'm not fit for military service, Proforce, but even if I had to join one, which would I join? Theoretically, or which do I think is the most important? Where Eagles Dare is my favourite war film. Doctor Strangelove, but that's not really a war film. I suppose it is, but, you know. When you say, yeah, that doesn't answer my question, Proforce, you have to say which bit I was on about. Because if I say two things and then you say, yeah, what would I join? Probably Army. Although I find Navy quite interesting. Because when my family were in like all the service stuff around World War II, I think my granddad's oldest brother was Merchant Navy. His other older brother was a medic in the army. My granddad was Royal Artillery. I don't actually know, Mike. I've not clicked show an advert, so I don't know what that was. Favourite music? I like lots of different genres, so I'm going to be a bit elusive with that question. I like stuff that sounds good, basically. So it doesn't matter the genre as long as it sounds good. If it sounds shit, I don't like it. Yeah, that probably is Steve. Is it the one that's in like the sort of woodland camo? Because if so, that's the fairly modern Polish stuff. So that should be like to the same standard as like British and American vests. So yeah, it should stop an AK at like a couple of 100 yards or something like that. No, I don't really make weapons, Finn, because I'm not very skilled at doing stuff like that. I collect lots of gas masks and militaria, but I'm not very good at making stuff. Yeah, it will be for rifle type stuff, Steve, and shrapnel, because, like you're saying, most nations have been using Kevlar for like the last 20, 30 years for and ballistic nylon for like pistol rated rounds. So yeah, if it's actually got steel plates in, steel and ceramic plates are what's used for rifle rounds and like high velocity shrapnel. Rarest mask full stop would be the American Mickey Mouse mask, as far as I'm aware, because there's only like 3 or 4 left in existence, as far as collectors are aware. In terms of what's the rarest mask I own, I've got 2 British C7 masks, and British C7s are fairly rare. Well, there's no point because you see it literally in every video and in the webcam streams. Oh yeah, so it's the woodland one, just in desert colours. Yeah, so that is the modern stuff, Steve. So yeah, that is the modern Polish military stuff. I think they are upgrading some of the stuff now, but yeah, that would be very good armour. Right, cheers, Finn. So yeah, I'm going to be going on this stream for another hour or so, assuming that it stays interesting. Otherwise, I'll rename the stream to not 2 hour stream. Years ago, you used to be able to get them in the £20 to £30 region. They seem to have gone up a lot now, C3s, so I really don't know. I wouldn't pay too much for it, though, because it's essentially just a better British light anti-gas respirator. It's up to you, Steve, because it depends how good the shoulder support is, I think, on a lot of plate carriers. Because what you don't want to do is get a low-profile one where it then does damage to you because you're wearing the plates, you know, the weight on them, where it doesn't support the weight very well around your chest and shoulders. But if it's got good straps, then why not? The one I spent the most on, Daniel, was an American XM28, which sadly is broken now. I don't know loads about thermobaric weapons and their popcorn. Is that like the mother of all bombs kind of things? I guess they're pretty big explosions, aren't they? But not as big as nukes, so I don't really see the point in them. I know that you can obviously use them without getting into all the diplomatic problems of dropping a nuke on somebody, but really, to be honest, I don't see why a lot of nations don't still use tactical nuclear weapons. So they'd be able to get away with it, definitely, in certain countries. Well, if you watch different videos, you see the room at different angles. It's not hard to piece it together. That's my point. Yeah, XM28 is the grasshopper or the locust, the green cheek filter mask that's quite slimline. When I was wearing it on stream, when I went to adjust one of the straps, like the rubber bit where the strap attaches to the mask just snapped, obviously due to age. No, I don't have a bunker though, Alex. All these masks won't give you much protection if you're actually in the fireball or the blast radius of the nuke. I've already got an Avon CT12 bag and my Fushida F2A4 bag set up with like ABEC style NBC CBRN filters. Yeah, that's my point. As long as nuclear weapons, because I think the big danger of nukes was in the Cold War, lots of nations had tactical nuclear weapons as well as the city-destroying nuclear weapons pointed at each other. And the worry was if sides started using tactical nuclear weapons against each other, that would very quickly escalate into a full-blown nuclear conflict. But if, America was attacking somewhere like Iraq or Iran, and they decided to attack, a military base or something with a low-yield nuclear warhead, I don't think really anything would come of that. I'm sure there'd be lots of bitching in the UN, but nothing would really happen, I don't think, as a result. All right, cool, Mike. Well, NATO wouldn't do anything about it because the US is like the big member of NATO. So your own allies aren't going to go, oh no, we'll have to attack you now because you used a thing. Like Russia and China would probably make a stink about it, but they wouldn't be able to do anything about it. What do you mean he found you, not me? I'm confused now, Mike. Any modern ABEC P31 or military CBRN filter, for most people's use, that will cover all the grounds. But yeah, because we're a lot less volatile situation in the Cold War now, I could easily imagine low-scale nuclear bombs being used absolutely fine in sort of sandbox, if you want to call them that, countries, especially if it wasn't used on civilians. If it was purely a low-yield nuclear weapon airburst over a military installation, I really don't see why that is any different than just dropping a lot of conventional bombs. I think I've got one, Chris, that's foil wrapped and is meant to run out in 2024 at some point. So that's still got another 5 years on it, and I trust it for longer than that. I think that might be an FP5 fit where I've got dated to 2024 or 2023, something like that. Yeah, but like I said, the only thing with them and their pop bombs, I know they make massively big explosions, but the bombs are still very heavy, aren't they? Like the old sort of conventional warheads were. So, not warheads, but like the conventional things like bunker busters and tall boy bombs and things like that. So, while they are very good for explosive yield, they're still very big, heavy bombs, and that's sort of the same with the thing like tactical nuclear weapons. They've got lots now where you can have a bomb that generates a bigger explosion, like a Davy Crockett, even though it's only like a 30-kilo bomb. Probably Calvert and Hatch. I mean, there is technically a nuclear shelter somewhere in the Oxford countryside, but that's privately owned now and all closed off. What you mean, the ones that just blow air through the thing? All they do, Steve, is basically they turn the mask from a negative pressure mask into a positive pressure mask, because a fan just sucks air in and blows it through the filter. So you're not the one having to pull air through the filter, if that makes sense. Yeah, I started streaming at 12 UK time, mechanized and weaponized, because I wasn't able to do a stream yesterday, so I said I was going to do a 2-hour stream today. But yeah, I've got some other filters which are foil wrapped that have only run out like a year or so ago, so I think they'd still be pretty good as well. All right, cool, Mike. Yeah, I'll listen to that. I don't know how much I'll comment if it's just an audio stream, but I'll probably chat a little bit while doing other things. That question's been asked like 10 times now this stream, Daniel. It's the Avon CT12. My opinion's not changed during the stream. Yeah, a lot easier to breathe through, and the mask doesn't have to be totally tight to your face, Steve, because if there's a little gap, because it's positive pressure, air is flowing out the mask. There's not a risk of air flowing in. Yeah, that's a katana in the background. Some don't. You can get ones that just use like 9 volts, double A's or triple A's. But yeah, the problem is with a lot of those, again, is you're still reliant on batteries, aren't you? And something mechanical not breaking down. If you get rockets that shoot out far enough, shoot it into space. Because if you shoot all that nuclear waste into space and it just flies off aimlessly in a direction in space, you never have to worry about it again, do you? My least favourite may be the Scott GSR. I mean, technically, probably some of the older cheek filter masks like the Czech M10, but the Scott GSR, in terms of being like a modern military mask, that really wasn't up to standard. American Mickey Mouse mask, I'd say, or some of the old US optical masks, in terms of being creepy masks. Yeah, well, an M1 is technically Yugoslavian, not Serbian, because they were made before Serbia became a sort of independent country again, but I've got, a Yugo M1 and M2 mask. I don't think it would be that expensive just to get a big rocket to send it up into space. Oh, that's annoying. I mean, I've got my own homemade one where I got one of those camping air mattress inflators, which are like a small bouncy castle inflator. And I just rigged that up so there's a filter on the intake of it, and that works absolutely fine. It's quite noisy, but that just takes, I think, 2 or 4 D batteries. It might be an M50 or an M53. Apparently, they are paying Avon to do the new mask, but I don't think they've announced what mask it is. They're deactivated, but they're real. As said, I like the design of the PMG, but the issue is with the PMG, because it's like soft rubber at the side where the filter goes in, I always find the filter weighs down the side of the PMG. It's why the PMG2s, like, the GP5Ms, I think are actually a better design, because the hose or the filter goes directly into a metal sort of bracket, so it doesn't get distorted to one direction from the weight of a filter on it. Yeah, the Scott GSR looks cool, but looking cool and saving your life in a gas attack are two quite different things. Personally, I just like an Avon C50, because then that's the M50 that just takes standard 40mm filters. Because I think the M50 is quite nice, I just don't like proprietary, filters on masks. Even if you put a hose on it, it's still going to have to come out an awkward side angle like that, so it's still not going to be brilliant. It gives you a load more bulk having a hose coming out like that. I think it might be an M50, Steve, considering they wanted like the proprietary kind of filters just because it's safer in the event of changing the filter in a gas attack. So I assume an M50 is probably what they'd go for, especially because in the original weapons trials, they picked the M50 over the Scott GSR, but because the Scott GSR was cheaper, they went, actually, let's go with the GSR. Years ago. Don't really know when. Oh, yeah, because basically what happened was, the GSR was like a cheaper copy of the M50, but because, they just didn't want to pay a lot of money, they went with the GSR. But yeah, it's sort of one of those things, isn't it? That happens, though, in a lot of military weapons trials of whatever thing, that they have a better option that wins most of the tests, but they end up going with another one because of, like, political reasons, bribery, or just because it's cheaper. It's quite an interesting thing if you look at the FAL versus the M14 in the American weapons trials. The FAL won most of the trials, but they went with the M14 just because it's an American-made rifle or something like that. And then, they must have regretted that 10 years later when they had abandoned the M14 for the M16. Now I'm on early, Alex. It's just gone 1 PM in the UK because I wasn't able to do a stream yesterday. I said I'd do a 2-hour one today. Yeah, I can understand the point with an M50 on the military market, because if you've not got an issue getting the filters, the only thing I do think of, like we're saying, it would be better if they had a way of adapting it to 40mm, just because 40mm is the NATO standard. It does seem a bit weird if you and America are using a different kind of filter to all your other NATO allies. It would be better if, there was a thing so they could at least fit 40mm NATO filters to the mask as well. All right, see you, British Aviation. Just use eBay like most of us do, Stalker. Or like Chinese or whatever nation-based sites to try and find ones from specific countries. No, because it's deactivated, and that would be illegal. All right, see you, Alex. I'll let you know all at the moment what my video is for tonight, because I can't actually remember off the top of my head. Right, videos, and it'll be the one scheduled for 5 PM tonight. What's today, the 12th? Oh, it's the Stouthelm fire helmet, which glows in the dark. I'm assuming you could bodge it on somehow Pro Force, but I don't know. Blowguns are illegal in the UK, so I can't comment about them. They're like one of the really weird things they made illegal for like almost no reason. There was never one used in a crime or anything like that. But the government at one point decided, oh no, we have to ban all the ninja and martial arts weapons. No, I do not have a Glock. The thing is, I don't know even how they define blowgun. If you get like a straw, like a drinking straw, and blow through it, so it will, launch something out at a semi-decent speed, would that be considered a blowgun? Right, they need to ban McDonald's selling those, not even selling, but giving away the straws in the paper wrapper. Because somebody could get the paper wrapper off of it, roll them up into little balls, put them in the straw, and then they've got a blowgun, haven't they? So McDonald's is handing out assault weapons. I wouldn't, Daniel, because I'm chronically ill. So as soon as my medication runs out, I am totally fucked. Yeah, there's lots of these laws that exist on paper, but I don't think they'd be enforced in reality, to be honest. Right, I'm starting to think you're trolling now, so I'm going to give you a timeout. I'm not going to block you for that, but if you carry on after the timeout, you will be blocked, because all you're doing is saying, do I own this, do I own that? Yeah, I really don't know, Chris, but yeah, it seems a bit strange, doesn't it? But thing is, I think, like I was saying, I think the M50 is a good design, because my one I've got is quite comfortable. The voice diaphragm's decent. You can connect a VPU to it, can't you, if you want to? It's quite lightweight and comfortable. There's a lot going for the M50. I also like it's got that weird top strap system, so helmets sit really flush against the top of it. But I was just saying, as a civilian, I prefer it as a 40mm, not a military one. But for the military, bayonet filters or proprietary filters aren't really a problem, are they? What do you mean, what's wrong, Daniel? I don't know what you're asking about there. You have to specify what. Oh, do you mean like illness-wise? I've got ulcerative colitis as well as being asthmatic and a couple of other things. Ulcerative colitis is where your immune system attacks your own colon. You can get Crohn's disease, which is the even worse version, where it doesn't just attack your colon, it attacks all the way up to your throat. So it's basically like one day your immune system just goes wrong and it thinks parts of your own body are a foreign entity and it starts attacking it. So basically, I have to take medication every day to keep it under control. And even then, I can still get flare-ups and I get chronic pain from it. So basically, if we are on about some sort of shit hits the fan situation where I wouldn't get medication anymore, what starts happening is my immune system starts breaking down the inside of my colon to the point I get toxic megacolon or my colon ruptures, at which point you basically die. So I also am at high risk of colon cancer from stuff like that. When the colitis is under control, I think the colon cancer risk is negligible. But every now and again, they have to take biopsies from my stomach to check for it. So I'm on like several different medications a day for that. I'm also on painkillers. I take paracetamol every 4 hours and codeine every 4 hours. There's a painkiller. If I get a serious flare-up, the doctor was on about giving me tramadol and morphine as a stronger painkiller. But thankfully, at the moment, what I've been doing at the moment is vaping a lot because nicotine actually helps treat ulcerative colitis, believe it or not, because it's an immune system disease. Nicotine's an immunosuppressant. You can actually use nicotine. And since I've been vaping for the last 2 months, my colitis has been in almost total remission. It's weird, Proforce. I used to have asthma when I was younger. My asthma went away for like 5-6 years and then it came back. But luckily, my asthma is only ever really a problem if something gets down my nose, like if I wasn't wearing a dust mask and in a dusty environment, that kind of thing. Or if it's a high pollen count day and it sets my hay fever off, that kind of thing. Well, napalm's a pretty horrible thing, but again, if you're at war with people and the idea is that you're killing your enemies, I don't really see the issue with most weapons, because the whole war might makes right thing. There's always that sort of thing. You know what I mean? So it might sound a bit harsh, but I think if you're in a serious war where the whole point was to kill an enemy and win, I don't really see why there's so many ethics-based questions over chemical and like incendiary weapons kind of things, because it's weird that we say one way of killing people is humane or okay, but another way isn't. There's a guy I sometimes work with, Mike, who says the exact same thing. It might have been Tumbo that said that. But again, it's because some of those things are autoimmune diseases. Nicotine suppresses your immune system. But ideally, using a nicotine patch or vaping is better than smoking for something like that, because you're not going to tar your lungs up in the process. Yeah, I can totally understand, especially because I think it's a lot more fucked up when you use certain weapons on civilians. But like I was saying about nuclear weapons, if you were going to airburst a low-yield nuclear warhead over a bunker complex, you're going to do a lot of damage to the bunker complex. You don't really have to worry about the radiation because it's an airburst. And it's not like you're even targeting civilians with it, is it? So in that sense, it's no really different than using a high-yield normal bomb, is it? Well, if you're smoking actual weed Pro-Force, you're still going to tar up your lungs, because despite what some stoners might say, inhaling burning plant matter is still bad for your lungs. If you're vaping CBD or THC or something, or taking it in a pill form, it might be quite helpful, I don't know. What, the Swiss Model 74? Or another Model M74? But yeah, that's where nicotine is quite helpful for autoimmune diseases, as I was saying, because nicotine suppresses your immune system a bit. It's good in that regard, because a lot of illnesses are caused by your body's immune system not working correct. Oh, it's the Romanian copy of the M65, isn't it? I've got an M65 up there. I've never used one, but it's probably all right, because it's an M65. Don't spam the chat, Adam. Thank you. Nay, Rox. Nay. There you go. That's no in Swedish, isn't it? I wouldn't have anything against learning Swedish, but I'd have no way of learning it, because, like I said, I'm shit with languages. I'm going to Google it and see if you're telling the truth. But YouTube automatically held it for review because it seemed like you spammed the chat with... Oh, well, what do you know? You're telling the truth. It is a name of a place in Wales where it looked like they spammed a keyboard. Oh, fair enough. If you post it again, I won't hide your comment, but I've never been there, no. Cool. What masks did you get, Marcus? No, I've not even watched Stranger Things Series 2, so no spoilers. I watched the first series and liked it. I just don't know. I didn't have any inclination to watch the later series. Well, I don't know what that means, and I don't want to say stuff in foreign languages, Pro-Force, unless it's like racist or insulting people or whatever. Well, I can't even remember from Stranger Things Series 1 who the characters were, other than there was like that mute girl called 11, wasn't there? That's like the only character I can actually remember. Because there was like the little kids, wasn't there, who rode around on the bikes. And there was like the scientists or whatever, and then there was like the older kids. I really can't remember. That's cool. Good spots, Marcus. I'm getting hungry now. I wonder what I have for lunch. Yeah, last night, Mike, I did end up doing porridge with loads of Nutella in it. It was very sickly, but it was quite nice. But I won't rush out to do that again just because of how filling and sickly it was. All right, I'll try it then. De Gratchen in Groß in Gingen Grote dan die Gratchen in Amsterdam. That sounds awful, doesn't it? I don't think that would even be a correct pronunciation, even if I knew how to speak it. Can only really do them around Halloween time, Electro Service, because normally pumpkins aren't stocked anywhere other than Halloween. No, they're lying, Rawhead. Yeah, Amsterdam. Yeah, that's probably going to be the only word correct, isn't it? Or close to correct. I've watched a load of shitty 80s films recently, like 70s films, but I've not watched anything decent. Just where I've been watching old like monster movies and like schlocky horror films. Yeah, because I had the riot shield stalker in front of the slow-mo camera. We threw a pumpkin, the pumpkin hit the shield went backwards, hit the lens of the camera. It didn't break the lens, but it broke the motor in there. Like one. That's strange, isn't it? So it's H sound, not a G sound. That's really strange. I mean, I know with German, like, if something's a J, it's a Y sound, isn't it? So, like, if you say things like junkers, planes are actually yunkers, aren't they? Duty. Politically, I'm more aligned with freedom. In terms of Stalker, I just think Duty would kick a lot more ass because they're actually organised. Don't actually know what my favourite food is. I'm getting bloody hungry now. Well, my favourite mask is the Avon CT12. In terms of what's my favourite lens in a mask, probably that really good Italian one I got recently, the Spaziani or whatever it's called, with the giant panoramic lens at the front that's made of polycarbonate and doesn't distort your vision, gives you a really good field of view. Well, the Polish didn't make a GP5. Their civilian mask was a CM3. If you mean how can you tell a Soviet GP5 apart from a Polish OM14? The OM14 is built like a Shum 41 and it has zinc on it rather than like the brown metal like the GP5 has up there. One of the heaviest ones I've got raw head is that weird Sieb Gorman mask I've got that the British Army wanted and then never used just before Sieb Gorman went bankrupt because it's made from like a really heavy rubber that's meant to resist heat like a firefighter's mask. So it weighs probably 2 or 3 times as much as conventional masks, but that's just because it's made from like a really heavy rubber. Because obviously, like the rubber, I imagine it'd be quite good rubber for blocking beta radiation, actually. But obviously, it's meant to be one that if you're near fire, most of the heat gets stopped by the mask. Ah, cool, Marcus. GP4U, let me look up that one. I've got a GP4, but I'm not sure which variant of the GP4 it is. Yep, look there on the wall. That's a GP4U, isn't it? Literally hanging up there. So you're nicer to Brits than you are for the other people. That's strange. I've also got the Polish ML, which is like a GP4 or GP4U, but it's the Polish version made from a different kind of rubber, which I actually think is better than the GP4U because it makes a better face seal for me because the rubber flexes to your face a bit better. It's just 40mm raw head, so any 40mm NATO filter will fit on it, whether it be particulate filters, ABEC filters, military filters. I might not end up going for full 2 hours on this stream because I'm getting really hungry now, so I might end up doing another 10 or so minutes. We have an hour and 30-minute stream, and then leave it at that. Cheers. I also got this one from B Store today. I'll put that up on the wall somewhere later on. I'm just going to start putting some of these masks back up so they don't clutter everywhere. Back in a moment. Well, I think it's normally an electricity sign, but I think he said something like the writing on it actually is like a joke thing that says death to spies or something like that. Let me see if the translate thing on my phone can work it out. Right, so translate. If it can actually do Russian as a photo, I don't know if it can. Right, Russian to English, camera. I get it. Annoyingly, because of the font, I think it's actually struggling to translate it. Let me just take a photo and see if that's any good. Yeah, it says something about Western on there, so I reckon it is death to Western spies. Yeah, so alpha radiation is the only thing a mask directly protects you from. Because alpha radiation is a sort of like irradiated dust, it's physical particles. The filter, like a particulate filter, blocks it so it doesn't get into your lungs. But beta and gamma radiation would penetrate the mask and everything, so yeah. It will only protect you from alpha radiation because that's when you inhale. If you're asking me how many masks I have, well over 100. I don't keep track of them anymore. Right, I tell you what, because I'll be finishing the stream fairly soon, I'll turn the Geiger counter off in a minute, but let's see how high my accumulative dose is. Well, it says dangerous and it's on 20. What's my dose? 26.5 microsieverts, apparently. So let's see what that actually means. Right, let me get a chart up and I'll convert that to Rontgen. So microsievert, it says microsievert, not a millisievert. So it was 26.5 microsieverts. Convert. That is 26.5 micrograys. 2.65 millirem. 0.0000265 sieverts. It is just over 3 microrontgen, which is also the same thing apparently as a millirontgen, so just over 3 millirontgen. In terms of Rontgen, that is 0.003022. So you'd have to be exposed to that for several hours to get 1 Rontgen. Whenever I've tried it, I've never got anything off of them, Proforce. And I don't smoke anymore, so I can't. I really like German Shepherds, Steve, but my friend's got Spaniels, and I really like his Spaniels, so I'm kind of tempted to say Spaniels just because I spend so much time around them now. Well, there's a chance you could suffocate yourself with a gas mask. So there's always that. If you don't unplug the filter and everything properly. Also, some old masks like the VM37, VM40 actually have asbestos in the mask themselves, which I think was to absorb sweat and moisture. So, but most masks don't. But there could also be things like talc inside the mask that, is not good for your lungs if you breathe it in large quantities, but it's nowhere near as bad as asbestos. Yeah, his Spaniels are really energetic because we take them on walks and, they've still got loads of energy after you've taken them on a long walk and they're running around off lead in like a few fields. Anyway, I'll turn this off now, but yeah. There you go. For the people who want a decent Geiger counter, SOX01Ms are good. And maybe in a couple of months when I've got some spare cash, I'll buy one of those Chinese Geiger counters and we'll test that against the SOX one and see how good it is. Yeah, so what, they don't have any spare plate carriers if they had to call up more reservists or anything, Proforce? That's a bit stupid, isn't it? I suppose that's to save money, isn't it? The British Army had problems at one point where they didn't even have enough plate carriers and body armour and helmets and things like that for their standing army, let alone reservists. So, it gives you some idea of how shit the British Army's been in the past and still is, to be honest. And I don't mean like as in British soldiers are shit. I have a lot of respect for them in the armed forces, but I mean the way the government treats them in terms of equipment they're given. Yeah, DP66M. I tell you what I'll do quickly before I finish the stream. Where did I put this? It's right there. I'm just going to re-zero this, and I'll zero it to 1 Rontgen. That way I can tell if it's gone up at all. Just get an angle where I can get my other hand on the zero. Let me take my glasses off because they're stopping me actually looking into it. Right, I see the needle now. I can't seem to get the needle to the left side. Let me just discharge it with this a second. That should be discharged. Now let's put it back in. That's fine. Zero it. Where is the needle? This is strange. Can't seem to get the needle to show up. I'll just turn this off and on in case it's a problem with the Geiger counter. Let's do a circuit check. Do the light like this for a second. There we go. Okay, he's 0 in there. Let's just put that all the way to the thing, take the output back in. I think I might just have to keep doing this, or I take that out and put it back into. No, I can only seem to get it to 0 at the moment. That's weird. 40 odd Rontgen. I don't know why that's the case. But never mind. I'll play about with that at some other point. But it doesn't seem to be zeroing properly. So yeah, anybody with some knowledge on those, I don't know if you know why. So yeah, for whatever reason at the moment, I can't get this to 0 properly. I'm not sure why. I'll have a proper play about with it at a later point. I don't know if that's going to focus at all. Yeah, it's not really readable, is it? But yeah, for whatever reason, it's stuck at like 44 Rontgen or something like that. And if I do the thing to 0 it, it will only 0 a bit to the left, like to 40 Rontgen or something at the most. Anyway, I'm going to put this back in my tub of radioactive materials. I'll put the end cap back on it, actually. There we go. And then we'll see if I can get it to 50 Rontgen or something. That's strange that it's the needle's too far to the left, but it might be that I need to replace the battery in the Geiger counters or something, because I know the batteries in there when I do a circuit check are getting quite low on the circuit check bit. Jolly quite a few years ago. Probably like 7, 8, 9 years ago. Anyway, I'll finish the stream now. Apologies, it's not going to be a full 2-hour stream because I'm really hungry now. But thanks for everybody that watched. And yeah, I won't be streaming tomorrow. It's Saturday. I'll hopefully stream Sunday after work if I feel up to it. No, I don't wear my Kevlar vest everywhere because I have no need to. Oh, do you only rate it 3.6 then, Stalker? Anyway, yeah, I'll finish now. Otherwise, I'm going to keep getting distracted reading things. Cheers, Marcus. You too. Right, see you then. I'll be off then. There's the end stream button.